Okay, that about does it for the Chinese fire drill we do every Tuesday and Friday about this time. This is WCSS 1490 in Amsterdam, New York, and you're listening to the show with no name. I'm Bob Going with Gavin Murdoch. We'll plug the other microphone in, and there we go. We got Jim. All right. Okay. Whoa, it's getting rough. You know, I missed that 2-minute newscast, so at least gave us a chance to catch our breath. Okay. All right. Whew.
So today is the morning after, huh?
Morning after a couple of things. Let's go with the nice stuff first.
The Mohawks.
The Mohawks. I was listening to it on WCSS 1490 on your dial in Amsterdam, New York last night from Newark, Arcadia. And holy mackerel. Boy, I mean, they weren't wasting any time.
They gave them a little taste in the first inning.
Wow. Well, yeah, I guess they were they down 1-0?
Yeah, they were down 1-0.
They were down 1-0, and they won 12-1.
Yeah.
This is, they've produced some good teams. I think they've won the championship 5 of the last 6 years, and they've been in the finals for 6 years straight, winning the Eastern Division in this league and the old league. And they've had some great teams and great players, but boy, this is the best. I think this is the best team they've ever put on the field. Absolutely overpowering. The handful of games they lost were mostly one-run games.
And they lost them before everybody was here.
Yeah, they lost before everybody was here, and then they saved their starting pitchers in the last week of the season because they had already clinched the Eastern Division regular season. So, wow. Just awesome pitching, awesome hitting, and they, they were down 3-0 in the previous game, in the first game. We were at that one, the last game at Shuttleworth Park. But it's like they're down 3-0. What does that mean? That means nothing. So they haven't got any hits for a few innings. They're rusty.
They were.
They came back and hit 2 3-run homers. One of them in center field. They were cheapers. Wow. Anyway, and the bad thing, of course, is there will be no
casino.
No Amsterdam casino or Town of Florida casino. It's not going to happen.
So all the mom and pop shops are still in business then, huh?
All the mom and pop shops are still in business. We still can support our 2 golf courses. We don't have to compete with 2 others.
I listened to that meeting last night on the telephone.
How did that happen? What was the technology behind that?
You dialed their telephone number, and then you put in a code, and it was a listen-only thing on the telephone, and you listened to the whole proceeding. They were about 20 minutes late that somebody didn't show up for 20 minutes.
Wow.
But they said at the beginning it was there to vote to disqualify Amsterdam and Montgomery County for the.
That was the sole purpose of the meeting.
That was the sole purpose of the meeting.
And was the vote unanimous?
The vote was unanimous. This is all in favor of they presented the resolution to disqualify, and then they allowed the mayor to speak for 3 minutes, although they said that this meeting did not have an open forum at these meetings, but since she was there, they let her speak, and they said that they would not discuss anything that she said, that they would just let her to speak. And then after she finished, they took a vote at all in favor of this resolution. All say aye.
Wow.
They all lied?
How was it?
Yeah, they all ayed, and they said all opposed, and there was no response. So they says.
It was all pretty obvious for the last few weeks, I think, once they decided they couldn't do it on the terms that.
Well, they said that right from the beginning. Yeah. The minute they didn't send in all the requested forms, that they weren't going to be considered, but they insisted on putting on the show that.
They went that far. Why not? You never can tell.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Right.
Well,
and they were in for $1 million, in for.
I hope she has a receipt for the travel.
The mayor?
So nobody steals it on her.
We'll discuss that in a moment.
So that's the end of the casino,
when they went in, obviously there's a lot of finger pointing and wagging going on. right now. But I've talked to some of these people, and they went into this not knowing. They had to put $1 million in just to get to the table.
Right.
All right. And it was only after they put the $1 million in and got to the table that they were told what the terms were. And at that point, that's when they realized, well, we can't meet these terms and make a profit.
Yeah, but it was in the RFP what was required.
No. There were whole huge sections of that they were not told until they put the $1 million down.
Is that right?
Yeah. So they did not know. They did not know what the scope of the project was, or what the minimum scope of the project was until after they put the $1 million down. Yeah.
That's not what I understand.
Well, I understand. It is what I understand, and I got it from the horse's mouth. So before it happened.
Nay, you say.
Yeah, nay.
Okay. Well.
All right. Okay. I guess we got a few things. A few things we need to talk about. Only because it's Friday and this is, City Government Day. Tuesday was World War I Day. By the way,
that second hour was great.
Noted presidential historian David Petrusha never ceases to amaze me. I mean, we've been good friends since 1969, okay, when I first met him at an anti-war rally at Albany State. I won't tell you which side we were on. Anyway, he's never written a book about World War I.
However.
I guess a few weeks ago he was asked to go on a program similar to ours, like...
There is something out there
like it was across the nation, I think, but whatever it was. Yeah, I think it was. And so he did a little research. When he researches, he researches. The man works faster than anybody I know. I mean, you give him a topic. He used to, for quite a while, he was appearing every Wednesday on FoxNews.com, which is kind of like an alternate station from the one they show over the air. It's only done over the internet. Same studios and everything else. So, and every week it would be different topics, and he'd get the list of the topics like the night before, and then he would quickly research everything he needed to know about the topic, and he'd go on, and they'd have Mr. Conservative over here, and Flaming Liberal over there, and
Mr. Right in the middle.
And he would just go boom. He
blow them all
always
away.
knew his stuff, but I thought I knew World War I reasonably well. He was coming up with stuff that I never heard of and may never hear again.
He knew all the personalities, and it was his anecdotes about the personalities that really made it.
That's what make his books. His books all start out. I've got a sneak peek at 1932 last week, and he always starts out with a cast of characters. And that alone is fabulous reading, because he does little capsule biographies with little punchlines about each of them. The state policeman that Eleanor Roosevelt wanted to run off with when her husband was running for president. Who remembers that guy, right? Things like that. So and that's what makes history interesting. It's not the dates and the consequences.
No,
it's
the people.
It's the people.
And I listened to the second hour. I couldn't be here for it. And they've got this weekly series now on World War I. And some of the things that he mentioned about the characters were some of the things that were covered this week.
Wow. Afterwards.
Afterwards, like, wow.
Yeah.
I understand that better now because of what he said. It just... He was just talking. He didn't have any notes here.
Not a note.
No, he just started, and for 1 hour,
I knew all I had to
chance
say.
to listen.
I knew all I had to say was hello, David.
That was it.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We should have guests like that more often. Yeah?
You mean so you don't talk? Is that?
No, I don't. I don't like talking.
But it's important that the guests know what time the show really begins.
Yeah, it is. Well. It is. But,
Well, when you get the
So
wrong
in that,
information,
in that respect, he's perhaps a bit deficient. But, well, you blaming me?
I was suggesting you were the contact.
Yeah.
Well, it worked out great. You got 2 hours.
yes,
Yeah.
Somebody said to me at the ball game, I don't understand this. The current fourth ward alderman only gets an hour, but the former fourth ward alderman gets 2 hours. And how come he didn't talk about fourth ward issues? Well, I think he's
Doesn't live in
got
the fourth ward anymore.
Yeah,
He's gotten past
that'll
that.
take more than an hour.
He's gotten past that. Wow. Yeah, so we'll get him back sometime. You know, he did one of those in-depth interviews on C-SPAN with 3 hours. And he said, what am I going to talk about for 3 hours? I said, David, just go in there. She'll ask a question. And
That'll be
off.
and it was fascinating. Absolutely terrific. And, you know, she had read the books. Ann Compton, I think it was, interviewed him. And I could be wrong. But you can go to C-SPAN. It's in the archives. But they only do that for, like, big name authors, you know, Peggy Noonan and
Dave Petrusha?
and David Petrusha.
Wow.
Yeah. His 1932 book, what I've read of it so far, is wonderful, absolutely wonderful, as all his books are. So, the Common Council, or actually a member of the Common Council, introduces a resolution last week, I guess, looking to put restrictions on the mayor's use of the city vehicle that is in her care, right?
Mm-hmm.
She goes a little ballistic on the subject, I would say. Insists that it's part of her compensation package. I don't know about that. I don't know the answer to that. If it is part of her compensation package, then that compensation package has to be approved by local law by the Common Council before the term.
Exactly.
It could very well be that there is a local law setting the compensation package of the mayor that includes a city-owned vehicle. However, there may be. I have never seen such a law.
I have never seen it.
It may be in the city code. I have never seen it.
Yeah. When I was on the council, that had come up, and the police chief was using a vehicle, and he had to pay the IRS
Right.
for the rate for using that vehicle as a full-time
For personal use.
personal use.
Right.
And if it was just for city use, they would pay a per diem amount to use it to go back and forth to home.
Well, which also has to be reported to the IRS.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So we get to the issue. One, is it part of the package to begin with? I sort of doubt it, but there could be a local law that says that. I'll concede the possibility that there is. The history of it is completely different. We've talked about this before, and I guess I'm one of the few people still alive who remembers this. It's when John Gomulka was mayor. John Gomulka was mayor for 12 years, okay? Did not have a city car, okay? We had at the time public safety commissioner and a public works commissioner. I don't know about the public works commissioner, but the public safety commissioner was given a city vehicle because the public safety commissioner headed the police and the fire department, civilian head. And that, at the time it was Bernie Casellas. Bernie would go to the fires and the drug raids and the gambling raids and things like that as police commissioner. Like Commissioner Gordon in Batman. I think he had the thing on the roof at City Hall too, the spotlight. Well, late in Mayor Gomulka's term, I think in his last year of office, in fact, Casellas resigned. I forget why. I think he took a job with the legislature or something like that. Casellas resigned, and it was also during the period when the Charter Commission was creating the new city charter. And they were kind of getting rid of the position anyway. So Mayor Gomulka announces that for the remainder of his term, he would add the Public Safety Commissioner's job to his duties, which he did. Then all of a sudden, people noticed that the mayor was riding around
In
this big black car, and that the seal of the city of Amsterdam had been painted over. So the Common Council kind of went nuts about that because they didn't get cars. And they finally decided, and of course, and his excuse was, I'm the public safety commissioner, I get a car. So they, I guess they agreed finally that he could keep the car as long as he was acting public safety commissioner, but he had to put the seal back on it, which kind of destroyed the glamour of it for him. So he leaves office, and Villa comes in, and he inherits what was actually kind of a clunky old car at the time. I think the city kept it for another 15 years after that in the motor pool for that they would send the codes people out in. So at the same time that we get rid of the public safety commissioner, sort of leaving the new mayor in limbo because now he's not the acting public safety commissioner, but he's still got the car. But he hated the car. Simultaneously, the new charter provided for an independent water board. And the new independent water board hired a director and then gave him a brand new car. They bought him a brand new car out of the water fund. Well, Villa didn't like that at all, to tell you the truth. But, it's an independent. So I'm on this charter commission, and one of the things we did was put up the Independent Water Commission for a vote, and at the first opportunity for the public to decide the issue, they threw the water board out. So now,
you got a car.
Now there's no longer a director of water or the commission, and there's this brand new car that comes back to the city. I guess what Villa was driving. But there was no approval of the Common Council, and at that point, the other car went back into the pool, as I said. Now, as far as I know, that's all that's ever happened, and that periodically, since then, the Common Council has approved the purchase of a car for the mayor, or in a number of cases, the mayor's car came from a confiscated car from city drug raids, which I think is...
No, that isn't what happened with this vehicle.
Well, it has happened, however.
Yeah.
So how did this vehicle, because this is not, the vehicle she's driving is not the one Joe Emanuel drove, right?
No, I don't believe so. This vehicle was belonged to a relative of a detective, and he wanted to sell the car, so the police chief bought it from him. This is the way I understand it. Bought it from him with drug enforcement money, which is illegal, and he turned it over to the mayor saying, this is your vehicle because you are on duty 24 hours a day as a mayor, so you're entitled to a vehicle.
Oh, so it was just bought with drug money?
Yes. And she got it because someone said that she should have a car because she's on duty.
We should point out it was not the current police chief.
No, it is not the current police chief.
Right.
No. So that's
okay.
That's how she got the vehicle.
So issue number one, is it part of the compensation package? Who the heck knows? It certainly hasn't been approved by this Common Council.
Well, if she got it in the middle of her term, how could it have been?
Well, because it replaced the previous car. The question is not a particular car,
okay.
but whether
yeah.
a car.
Okay.
So it's possible. I'll concede the possibility. Question number two is there anywhere in this alleged compensation package that says you can use it for personal use? And I find it hard to believe that there would be such a term, number one. And number two, the history of mayors and cars would seem to contraindicate that. Certainly, you and I had our problems with Joe Emanuel when you were on the Board of Aldermen and I was his corporation counsel. We had disagreements from time to time. Sometimes they were shouting disagreements.
Yes.
But there are a couple of things you can't take away from Joe Emanuel. He was, he gave away half of his salary for 4 years to the city library, okay? Without hesitation.
Right.
and without much to do either. Every once in a while the library would say thank you, and that'd be about it.
That's right.
And then people, well, who does he think he is, showing off like that, giving away so much money? You can't please some people. And number two, he was incredibly scrupulous with his use of the city vehicle. Ordinarily, the city vehicle would be parked at City Hall when he wasn't using it for city business. On occasions when whatever he was doing required him to drive the vehicle home, he would leave it at the edge of his driveway closest to the street so people coming by could see that he wasn't using it to drive to his other job and things like that. Yeah. That he made it very clear that this is a city vehicle. If somebody like me or another department head needed to go to a meeting in Albany or something like that, he would toss the keys and say, "This is city business. Go take the mayor's car." So the history of it would seem to indicate that no one ever understood before this mayor that it was for personal use. She does not. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to say this now. It was my understanding that she did not ever claim not to be using it for personal use, because people have been calling and complaining about it from the beginning, that she's going to Price Chopper, that she's carting her kids around, that she's carting other people's kids around in the city vehicle and things like that.
No, she never denied it that I know of.
So, she claims that she's entitled to use it for personal use as part of her compensation package. Now, the point you brought up earlier. This is kind of a critical point, I think, and that is that if she is using the vehicle for personal use as part of her compensation package, like every other taxpayer in the United States of America, she is required to keep accurate and distinct records showing how much of the vehicle is for personal use and how much is for business use. And to go further on that, driving to and from her principal place of employment is considered personal use under the IRS regulations, under the statute, I think.
Yes.
There's no question about it. So, number one, she is required to keep detailed records of every mile she drives for personal use. Okay? And she's required to maintain detailed records of purchases of gasoline and stuff, so we know how much, so we can tell from the mileage what percentage she used and how much that was worth. In other words, if she filled the tank, cost $60 to fill the tank, and she uses it for personal use 40% of the time, well, then 40% of the $60 has to show up as income. And she has to turn this information over to the city controller, who then, I don't know whether it's a 1098, 1099, or it's part of the W-2 form, I'm not sure. But at the end of the year, at the end of the calendar year, in January, he has to then provide the mayor with her W-2 form showing that she was compensated X number of dollars over and above her salary.
Yeah.
For the private use of the city vehicle.
And she has to claim that, correct?
Yes.
Yes. First of all, the city is required to submit this to the IRS, and if they fail to do so, the city is fined, as happened in the case with the police chief, and actually some of the that happened also with the petty cash fund for the police department that they were doing for years. For feeding them when they had to work overtime, as they were required to do under the contract, but they weren't reporting it as income, which they were required to do. So the city got fined for that. Now, is the mayor claiming at any point that she submitted any of these receipts and records to the controller's office?
I didn't hear that.
All right. So it just happens that just a few days ago, Monday or Tuesday,
Friday.
I mentioned on Facebook that I wonder if the mayor is, that's all I said. I wonder if I assume the mayor is reporting this to the controller as IRS regulations require. Basically what I just said, only in one sentence. Oddly enough, two days after I put this little punchline buried on Facebook, yeah, the mayor reports. I'll get to the call. Caller, hang on, okay? I'm in the middle of a thought. So the mayor reports at the Common Council meeting Tuesday, which was a day or two after I had posted this, that her car had been broken into. Here's the way the whole story appeared on Tim Becker's Mohawk Valley Compass. I didn't see this in the recorder. I'm not saying it wasn't there, but I didn't see it. And this is Tim Becker's writing. Mary Ann Thane reported at Tuesday's Common Council meeting that receipts for expenses related to her city-owned car she kept in the car's glove compartment had been stolen. She asked Police Chief Greg Kulik to investigate the matter. At the same time, a resolution limiting the mayor's use of the car was introduced and tabled. The issue was scheduled to be discussed at a committee meeting on August 12th. Quote, I find it very odd that they were stolen just before this resolution came out, said Thane.
I find that strange myself.
I find it strange that she would say such a thing, because she's essentially accusing the Common Council of breaking into a car and stealing this stuff, or people working at the behest of the Common Council. And that's outrageous. That's with absolutely no evidence whatsoever. She's accusing them of a criminal act.
Yes.
Even more serious than falsely reporting an incident, for example. Thane said the receipts were. This is where he may have gotten it wrong. I'm not sure, but this is what Becker writes. Thane said the receipts were for expenses through the beginning of the year, and that she noticed they were missing last Friday. She said that nothing else had been stolen from the car and there were no signs of forced entry. I pause here because I'm not sure if they were expenses through the beginning of the year, meaning up to January 1, 2014, then what were they doing in her glove compartment? They should have been in the controller's office. Okay?
Yeah,
in other words,
she didn't turn them in.
It sounds like she's thinking, gee, I should have turned those in. I'll go look for them in the glove compartment. Oh, gee, they're not there. They must have been stolen, okay? I need to turn these over to the controller so I can file an amended 1040. It could be he got it wrong and that what she meant, either what she understood or what she meant to say, it was from the beginning of the year. Maybe. So it could be. You can't tell from the way the story is. And either she misspoke, it's possible she misspoke or he misheard it or misunderstood it. Or it's possible it's exactly the way he says it is and that she was looking to amend her return. Of course, I'd like to see the previous 6 returns, too. The proposed resolution would restrict them, blah, 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 blah. And we know what that's about. Thane said that use of the city-owned car is part of her compensation package and that there are currently no rules prohibiting her from using the car for both business and personal use.
Well, there may not be, but she still has to report it to the IRS, one way or the other.
It's curious, isn't it? I mean, the timing of all this stuff.
It gets curiouser and curiouser.
Yes, it is.
So now some people start asking questions around City Hall. And down comes yesterday. It's dated August 6th.
Why don't you answer the phone? It might be about this particular.
Well, it might be, but I'll just, well, all right. Let's take the phone call. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yes, Bob. Let's take the phone call. I was listening about the mayor's card. Sometimes we got to think that people have, as voters, have more of a say. Maybe the mayor, regardless, shouldn't have had a car of their own to begin with. Mm-hmm. The mayor's salaries and the benefits have increased over the years. This is still, when you look at the population of the city, maybe the mayor should be able to use their own vehicle to get to and from where they have to go. I can understand the mayor using the car when she has to leave to go out of state. That happens once in a while. We understand that. But some of the people are nitpicking or so like that. I've seen the mayor, use the car maybe to drop her kids off or whatever. The